phone turned off today.
Ah.
It doesn't ring during the pledge again.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't.
We know you're a commie. You set it to ring right at 5:01.
It was O Canada.
Oh, boy.
Oh, is that right? But did you hear for some good thing? Will you be there? Nope. Back for sure? Yep, for sure.
We're all just sucking on our men's like.
I know.
Someone took all of yours.
Are they in here?
All right, we'll go ahead and call the Becker City Council meeting of December 17th, 2024 to order. If you're able, please rise and join for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, has council had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes of December 3rd? If so, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second. Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any changes to this evening's agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the set agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented? Oh, second.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Guests in open forum. Seeing no one, we will move on to committee reports. Personnel Committee. We had some policy updates, and they are on our consent agenda for this evening. It was a very quick meeting. How about EDA?
EDA met on December 9th. We heard the Sherburne County Housing Study Overview, and we also heard the feasibility study update from North Span on the incubator project. We are getting some clarification on a couple questions that will be brought before the council in the future. And then we had a monthly market update that housing is in a similar position than it has been for the last few months. That was it.
All right. Public Works did not meet this month. Fire Board.
Fire Board met last night. Is not quite Becky, filling in for Becky last night. So we had, besides the payment of the bills and the payroll, we did a review of the CIP for the upcoming year especially, and then some discussion about some years following. And also there was a policy procedure update that was discussed. And then just to note that the January meeting will be meeting on the 27th of January due to the Martin Luther King holiday.
All right. Park and Rec.
Park and Rec did not meet.
All right. And then we're at the Police Department City Hall renovation update.
You can see now parts of the brick work, the scaffolding has been taken down, so that work is completing around the building. Cement was put into the garage today. Phase one is now pushed out to mid-January, which I don't think is much of a surprise, at least from a staff standpoint. And then we have a progress meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
Question. You estimate how long before we can use the front door again?
That'll be when the police department is ready to go. All that is phase one, so
okay.
mid-January.
Okay.
Any committees that were missed?
Joint Planning.
Oh.
Joint Planning met last Tuesday. They had one IUP, which was denied. There was a rezone of a parcel and a couple of ordinance updates.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll go into our public hearings. The 2025 fee schedule with Mrs. Mortensen. And I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 5:03.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You have before you ordinance 291, second series, which covers any changes, or if it's the fee schedule for 2025. And at the last meeting, you did review all of the additions and changes to the fee schedule. Nothing has changed since you met December 3rd. So I just entertain, if you would entertain a motion, if anyone has any questions, but otherwise entertain a motion on the adoption of ordinance 291.
All right, does council have any comments in regards to the fee schedule? Is there anyone here in the audience for the fee schedule? All right, seeing none.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
We are closing it at 5:05. And then I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance 291, second series.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 291, second series, fee schedules.
I'll second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Any discussion? With none, those in favor may state aye. Opposed,
I'll
carried.
make a motion to approve ordinance 291, second series for summary report.
Second.
Motion from Mike, second for Robin for the series summary. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. Administrator and staff reports. The 2024 Park Improvement Summary, Mr. Kua.
All right. Madam Mayor, members of council, good evening. 2024 was a very significant year for parks projects within the city's park system. So staff was asked to provide a recap of kind of all the ongoings that were accomplished or are underway in our park system. So I'd like to take you through that. I'll have a brief slideshow that we'll go through where some photos that kind of show some of the improvements and projects that were made. I just want to acknowledge that I'm one member of an incredible team that really made these things happen, from our Parks and Recs Commission, city staff, planning, as well as our streets department that took on a lot of really creative projects that we'll touch on briefly. Another, I think, important note is we've all discussed the American Rescue Plan funds that were available over the last few years and talked different merits of different projects. So I know all of you have been very heavily involved in a lot of the funding sources that have accomplished these projects. So of what we're about to go through, I do want to recognize that $427,000 came from ARPA funds towards these projects. $114,166 came from donations from community partners, which is something that staff has really worked on, and it's nice to see it bear fruit, as well as an additional $165,000 came from parkland dedication from the Fairway Ridge Estates project. So a lot of things were done, but also a lot of funding didn't come from taxpayers or from direct budgets. With that said, let's roll into our slideshow. So one of the kind of marquee features in our park system is Becker Community Park, right on the former green space of the community center. So a few of the phased projects that were completed this year are the interconnectivity that you can see on this overhead, all the pathwork connecting, as well as the addition of this, lovely pavilion, which has a nice concession window that'll be put to use in 2025, as well as bathroom facilities and changing stations for those using the splash pad. So that's a very exciting addition, as well as the new park equipment at Community Park and the poured-in-place surfacing that is really helpful for ADA access and making sure it's an accessible park for all of our community. The next parkland we're going to talk about is Snuffy's Landing. One of our most beautiful properties here in the city. A lot of people still don't realize it is, it is under the parks umbrella, and it's really an amazing spot. So this is one that's really neat because of just the creativity and use of resources that were put forward to accomplish. But so this is a big thanks to our streets department, because they were kind of given the task of some natural play areas within this park and using resources that were readily available to us. So if you haven't been out there, in the top right corner of that slide, you can see a really wonderful natural play area that was designed and built by our streets department, and is just a really neat and creative addition to our parks, as well as some other play features that you can see pictured. In addition to a wonderful stairwell that leads from the top parking area down towards the river. We've got some really talented people in this organization, and it's nice to see their skills put to good use, as well as the addition of the pavilion there with the help of the Becker Area Lions. Frank Kolbinger Jr. Veterans Memorial Park. So this had a lot of improvements as well. As you all are aware, our skate park was on its last leg. So part of our capital projects for this year was to replace the skate park, which is pictured there. We also added new play equipment. As you recall, the old equipment was a wood-based structure where our slide was damaged beyond repair, and that was just a planned park improvement, as well as the parking lot surfacing for that particular park. Another very exciting one, I know we had our members of the Archery Association come in a few weeks ago to council. So there's an overhead view of a new archery range with the city of Becker. So that'll be something that'll begin utilization in the spring also of 2025. And it's just going to be, as you all know, the participation in the archery program here in Becker is like none other in the state. So what a beautiful amenity to cultivate that program and increase the participation and offerings for archery in town. Becker Athletic Complex. So we have a new lacrosse wall for those doing some more solo practice that is out at the BAC. A lot of additional youth fields space were made available with the base pads. We should have grabbed better pictures when the grass was green, but I think it gives the idea, as well as new batting cages have been put in place. And then there was some additional field work on the Buzzards field, on leveling the surfaces and on the infield turf. That, again, it's a really good partnership with the Youth Baseball Association in bringing some of these improvements to life based on actual data that they were able to provide for us. The City Park disc golf course got brand new baskets this year, also in a collaboration. So we've already received some feedback. People still play disc golf even in the winter. We've come to realize. So we've been getting some nice comments from some of our users that have noticed that improvement. And as Chris Lisson and others work with those groups, that collaboration is really developed into a nice relationship. So that is the end of the slideshow. We got some more exciting things hopefully coming in 2025, but I wanted to take a moment to just recognize all the improvements that were made, and also thank you for all the support in making those projects come to life. I know they're much appreciated. No call for action from you, but if you have any comments or questions, I'd be happy to stand for them.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update, the summary. Change orders number 2 and 3 for the Police Department City Hall project. Mr. LaRude.
Mayor Bertram, City Council members, there are 2 change orders for consideration tonight. Change order 2 is in the amount of $92,708.70 and requires a little bit longer explanation than the other one. This is for the installation of a sewer service line from the PD addition to the sewer main in Sherburne. There was a manhole originally installed with the original building that had to be removed because it's under the patrol addition to the building. And so the plan called for installing that new manhole outside but over the original service pipe, and then use that existing service pipe to go all the way out to the connection in Sherburne Avenue to the main. So the elevation of the sewer line in the original building was not installed at the elevation shown on the original as-built. And so when the new line was extended through the addition at the 2% slope, it ended up lower at the outside edge of the building than the new manhole. So we discussed a couple of options. The first option that the architect presented was installing a lift station at the site of that manhole, which would require enlarging the manhole, putting a pump in, bringing electricity out there. And that solution was about $120,000 to install. And staff put pushed back on that option, that we need to find another solution. So the option that this change order is to replace the gravity pipe from the addition all the way to Sherburne Avenue. That entire distance is needed to maintain the proper slope of the pipe so it can gravity feed. Staff and the finance committee met with the architect and we had an extensive back and forth about this. And this is the recommended solution for you to consider. I will add one additional note. The change order tonight calls for a 4-inch pipe when the application, and that was approved by the plumbing inspector, Rum River Consultants. When it was brought to Public Works to issue the permit, we require 6-inch on commercial property. So the pipe will be a 6-inch pipe and there will also be a clean out in the parking lot, which is required per our standard plates. And so just want to let you know that the contractor, this was communicated to them, so that's what's going in. But there will be a change order for that difference in price between the pipe, 6-inch and 4-inch pipe cost, as well as the clean out. And then change order 3 covers 9 various change orders, much smaller in scope. The total net increase is $14,351.31 of those change orders. And if approved, both of these change orders will bring the total change orders on this project to $107,799.36. It's still under 2% of the original project. And with that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Doesn't look like we got a whole lot of choice.
That's where we ended up.
I do want to state that Greg's put in a lot of time making sure that this is absolutely necessary and figuring out where the problems were, and it's much appreciated that we got clear answers.
Welcome.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was the 1980 drawing had the wrong, they had the wrong thing listed on it, and some of the stuff you can do with due diligence, some you can't, and if we tried.
We grilled.
Was there any way this could have been caught? And I mean, I think after thorough investigation,
No,
it couldn't have been. I
it's
mean,
been fully explored.
at some point you have to be able to trust some of the drawings. I mean, that's you can only do so much due diligence on it. So.
I don't have a problem with it.
I should add that the funding for this, we did not borrow for contingency funds, so the funds will come out of the future improvements funds, and there is adequate funding there to cover this.
Make a motion, we approve change orders number 2 and 3 for the police department city hall project.
I'll second. Motion from Mike, second from Becky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, interim police chief contract, Mr. LaRude.
Following the council meeting on November 19th, when the council terminated the hiring process for a new police chief, I worked to identify potential candidates for an interim chief. I reached out to my former chief that I worked with, Mike Meehan at South Lake Minnetonka PD, and we had a couple of conversations, and there was a mutual interest to keep talking about it, so we met. Mike is currently the manager of the Precision Driving Center in St. Cloud, which conducts programs for public safety agencies and the public throughout Minnesota. Prior to that, he was licensed as a police officer, serving as the assistant chief at Crystal PD, the police chief at South Lake Minnetonka, and then assistant director of Post Board, which is a state police licensing agency. And so we also had a second meeting with a representative from the Personnel Committee and from the Police Committee, and everybody was wanting to continue to move forward. And so I asked the city attorney to prepare the contract, which was included in the packet. The candidate will not be eligible for any benefit, just be an hourly wage based on hours work, which we anticipate will be no more than 20 hours a week, but the contract is flexible enough if there is a situation that requires more, it can expand. And so he will be eligible for ESST, which is a statutory requirement, so that leave will accrue for him. So we anticipate this could be close to 6 months. We don't anticipate going back out for advertising for a police chief until late February, early March. It's just not a time right now when people are looking for a job. So this would go until either party does have a period of notice if they want to exit the contract, so that can be done at any time. But there is funding in the budget because we will not have a full-time chief for certainly a while this year, that there is certainly money to cover the appointment of an interim. I will add that Mike said, as a condition of our meeting, we wanted to have a licensed police officer. It's not necessarily required, I don't believe, but we felt as strongly that it needed to be for him. And so he's agreed to do that as well. And so with that, I would recommend approving the contract to hire Mike Meehan as the interim police chief for the city of Becker. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary employment agreement for the interim police chief.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor may state aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. And now I would just like to introduce our interim police chief. How do we introduce you? Is it chief?
I'm Mike Meehan. You can just call me Mike. That's fine.
Mike?
I don't need any questions. Thanks for having me. Excuse me. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I had the opportunity yesterday to meet with your chief for about 2.5 hours. He was gracious enough to hang in there with me for a while. So I kind of got a good measure of the department, or I feel like what you can get from a conversation. And, you know, I'm pretty confident I'm stepping into a pretty professionally run outfit. So that's nice to know that I'm not walking into a handful of problems. It doesn't seem to be the case, because I think you have a pretty good thing going. So I'm certainly available for questions if you have any now or later.
No. Thank you. We look forward.
Welcome. Glad to have you aboard.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That's great.
All right. Consent agenda, Mr. LaRue.
Mayor Bertram, city council members, items for approval on tonight's consent agenda include approval of the revised hiring and termination report, approve personnel policy updates as required to be consistent with Minnesota statute, approve the 2025 tobacco liquor license renewals as presented in the agenda packet, adopt resolution 24-109 approving 2024 fund transfers, approve amendment number 3 to the GRE leachate agreement, approve the League of Minnesota Cities liability coverage waiver form to not waive monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by Minnesota statutes, approve the 2025 custodial contract with Options Incorporated, approve pay request number 5 in the amount of $972,126.89 to Apex Construction Group for the Police Department City Hall project. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
I just had one question on the tobacco license. We had one license that was on there that I believe that business closed last week. Does that matter?
Which establishment?
The
Smoke
Holly's-
shop.
Yeah, I think it's Holy Smoke. Or,
Okay. Well, obviously, if they're closed, we won't issue it at the time.
Okay, we don't.
We'll refund their money if they're no longer existing, and it won't be issued.
We haven't received any notice.
Okay.
How does that work then if a business files for, if they say they're gonna close and then they filed for a license, I guess, they can't just take that to another location or?
Specific for locations, licenses are, and to the people.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion from Rick, second from Mike. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Payment of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Motion from Robin, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Before I go into the betterment of Becker, I just wanted to say thank you to my counterparts, the staff, and all of the city. I've had a wonderful time. 16 years ago, I got involved just because I was curious about what was happening in my community. And never to this day did I think I would sit in this seat, but here I am. And I've enjoyed my time. I've gotten to do a lot of great things, not only for the city, but like the legislature as well. I mean, there's some pretty cool things that I can check on my bucket list just from this opportunity, as well as the amount of jargon that I have now in my head. PFAS, like all sorts of like wonderful projects that I've had to learn about, and I can explain how the wastewater and water system works here in the city. Thank you for that educational course. But thank you for all of a great time. I've had some wonderful, I mean, before the five of us became the 5-pack here for, what, 6 years we sat here? Yeah, I've had some other like great counterparts as well, so it's been good. We have a great team in place. I was part of putting all of you in the place that you are today, and I couldn't be prouder of the work that you do. So thank you for that. Also, a huge thank you to my family for all the dinners that I have missed and the birthday parties that I did not attend because I was here representing our city in that capacity instead. But so thank you all. So. So on that, on my last one, does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? I will then ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion from Mike, second from Robin. Those in favor can state aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 5:25 PM.